SummerSlam What Ifs. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers and talk about some wrestling.
This is a pretty good series we started. I like having fun with this one.
Yeah, we basically just give our kind of like what if scenarios about the big PLEs that are around the corner. And this time we got the big one. One of the big ones. One of the big fours. SummerSlam is Saturday.
Yes.
And a lot of shenanigans are expected to happen. A lot of stuff is expected to go down. So let's see about our what ifs.
It's just like last time, we thought a lot of shenanigans with the Money in the Bank, remember?
Yeah, but it's gotta be SummerSlam, man.
It's gotta be Kane.
It's gotta be Kane.
Uh-huh.
Let's get on with the first one. I combined it in two. A lot of people are thinking that this is going to be the passing of the guard for the mid-card titles, right? This is going to be when Logan finally drops. This is going to be when Sammy finally drops. But what if Sammy and Logan do not drop the titles?
Oh, man. That's another drop ball, I think. I think, at least from the LA Knight side, as I talked about a little bit from SmackDown, like, you need more presence of that U.S. title. You're missing a lot. SmackDown is very hard to get through, admittedly.
At the moment.
It's not great. So you need to build some solid feuds around that. LA Knight's done what he can with Logan being off screen. He's done what he can with Santos there and some other people, but he needs the belt now. As for Sammy, I guess it wouldn't be so bad. It wouldn't be my choice, but I think that would just mean he drops it to Dragunov.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that you could do a quick switcheroo on a Monday Night Raw, and that one wouldn't be as bad, but you're really missing a chance if you don't drop either one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Sammy wouldn't be as big of a deal as we would make it. If Sammy doesn't drop, we're going to be yelling and screaming, but at least he's been around such great talent weekly, like with the Ilya Braun stuff, to where you could have a third match with Braun, but add Ilya in there and really give us a good third, final match with all three of the guys, and whoever comes out on top does. But if Logan doesn't lose, we got ourselves an issue. Like, that's an issue. Unless he's magically scheduled to start appearing weekly on television and becoming a weekly champ, defending champ, which doesn't seem to be the case. So might as well just hand him the belt and get to going, right?
Yeah. I mean, if Logan doesn't drop it now, when would you drop it? It probably wouldn't be until Mania. I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
Which is so long and way overdue. It's already overdue, but it would be 10 times worse.
Yeah, it'd be bad. All right. How about the next one? This is a big one. I was thinking about it. The Tiffany drama. She's got a Money in the Bank. Obviously, the what if she cashes in? What if she doesn't? What if Tiffany cashes in and fails? And she's the first woman to ever fail her Money in the Bank cash in.
Well, I don't see that happening.
No.
But, for the sake of the what if, that's I don't know what you would do. We talk about WWE dropping the ball with Braun, at least, at Money in the Bank. I guess you could have Tiffany get a rematch some way, somehow, but for her to be the first one, that's a big misstep. And I guess my question would be, what do they see with Tiffany's future that we don't see? I know there's rumors about her maybe going to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Eventually. Already, which is crazy to think about.
She's nuts.
But
I bring it up because it's mentioned a lot more during her Money in the Bank reign than it is with most people. Now it's becoming like an almost weekly thing where somebody hints at it or someone drops that little nugget of info and like no one's ever lost cash in, no woman. Oh, when you win the Money in the Bank as a woman, it's 100% chance that you're going to become champion. That stuff has been said a lot more recently. No, I don't see this happening. In our official predictions, I said I went with my gut and said that Tiffany's going to cash in. But if I had to pay money or if I had to bet money, I'm going to say that they don't do it anyways. But if they were to fail a cash in for whenever she decides to cash in, let alone SummerSlam, that would just be L's.
Yeah. The only thing I think would be like it'd have to be further down the line and she'd have to fail and they'd have to like write her off TV.
Yeah, it'd be bad.
I mean, that would be the only thing.
It'd be bad.
Which, like I just said, SmackDown's struggling. You need Tiffany on TV. So,
yeah. We'll move on to the next one. Our boy, Damian Priest.
Mm-hmm.
We thought there'd be a lot more drama going into his match than there is going into the match at this point. Judgment Day seems to be one firm group, except for Carlito. I guess Rhea doesn't really like Alito, but What if Damian Priest does get screwed over by Judgment Day and loses his title that way?
Yeah,
It'd be out of nowhere at this point.
It would kind of be out of nowhere. I think that's also something that maybe you could say like that's the start of the breakup of Judgment Day versus where we're like, oh, well, we're thinking like the finale part, right? Like, so that would maybe kickstart it, I guess.
Well, I just think that we just like Judgment Day so much that we think that the payout, the fallout of the Judgment Day should lead to a big time title match. Like that's why we would be like, But a lot of people seem to think that this is going to be the moment that it happens, and a lot of people are under the impression of like, well, Finn and Damian don't need a belt, which fine, but I want them to have the belt during that feud. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean they definitely don't, and it would be out of nowhere, but it would also make sense. It would kind of kick that off.
Yeah,
and it would really set like dividing lines. Like this half is in Judgment Day, this half is kicked out. So maybe you have Rhea, Priest, and I don't know, Dom are kicked out. You know what I mean?
I just think at this point it'd be too sudden. Like there really just haven't been enough cracks.
Mm-mm.
Like there really haven't at all at this point. Especially like I thought Damian was going to come out or somebody was going to come out and kind of screw Finn over against Gunther, but that didn't happen. Like he lost clean.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't tap, but he lost clean. Nobody helped him. So it's like there's no kinks in the armor at this point. This would be a very sudden collapse. It'd just be.
Yeah, and they're still doing subtle hints, like with the Finn being the only one that doesn't have his name or his face crossed off on the.
Yeah, but there hasn't been any obvious like, well, this happened. Like, well, this happened.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, yeah. To stay on the Judgment Day line of things, this Rhea Liv match is just. A lot can happen here.
Yes.
There are a lot of moving parts that could lead to a lot of different storylines. And so I was sitting here like thinking, how am I gonna phrase this what if? The easy thing would just be like, what if Dom turns on Rhea? And that is gonna be part of it. But I'm gonna add Finn into that as well. What if Dom or Finn turn on Rhea in this championship match?
Yeah, I think the more likely one is probably Dom. But we've kind of seen Finn be like the big brother as of late. So I think it's a very possible, probable chance that they probably both do.
I think the only fallout that is kind of showing through the crack at the moment is Finn's getting a little feisty with Rhea. Mm-hmm. Like, Rhea's like, no, don't go after Jay. And Finn's been like, kind of screw that. Like, no, he disrespected you. I'm going to go take care of Jay.
Yeah.
And then this week he did the whole like, what, you don't think that I can take Gunther on alone? It's like the only little things they've been giving off have been Finn's attitude toward Rhea. And maybe Finn goes out there and Rhea tries to tell him something. And he's like, nah, screw this. And he turns and goes to Liv. A lot of stuff can happen here. But if you ask my opinion, I just want Dom to turn. I just want Dom to do it.
Yeah, I think it's probably maybe a combination. Like you said, they have shown that he's getting feisty towards her.
Yeah.
But it seems as if he's like, hey, Dom, go do this. Dom, go do this. So maybe she gets feisty with Finn pre-match.
True.
And then Finn looks at Dom and is like, all right, Dom, you know what you have to do. So maybe he sets it up that way.
It makes me think that I wonder if SummerSlam is going to be like an extension of Raw in terms of like the Judgment Day having a through line throughout SummerSlam 2. So like maybe throughout the night you give little hints here like, okay, this is happening, this happening, big build up, big match, whatever happens.
I would think that it's dominated Raw for so long and the better matches are from Raw. Obviously the Punk and Drew one is there. But other than that, Judgment Day stuff is what everybody's excited to see, in my opinion. So I think it almost has to be a through line through SummerSlam.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever ends up happening with that is going to be grade A television, though. They just haven't missed with the Judgment Day stuff. In my opinion.
I would just assume Finn tells Dom, you know what you have to do, and then maybe that's earlier in the night, and then maybe Priest Gunther happens, and maybe Finn goes out there and screws Priest at that point.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, maybe one domino just falls to the next. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. We're going to move on. This is kind of the same sort of thing as the Finn Dom way of going about it, but this is kind of just what I have to ask for this match. Like, what if Rollins screws Drew, or Punk. So, like, if Rollins screws Punk, what does that lead to? It probably leads to down the line, maybe a big Royal Rumble match, even Mania. If he screws Drew, that's where it gets muggy to me. It's like, where do we leave Punk then? Does Punk just immediately go for the title scene if Rollins ends up screwing Drew? Does all of this, it doesn't matter who he screws? Is it all just going to lead to a triple threat match anyways at one point? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's kind of weird altogether. I mean, I don't know who he's going to screw, to be honest. You've seen things about people being like, okay, well, Rollins is probably going to screw Punk, and it'll be like the HBK Taker Bret Hart special guest referee match in, I think 97 or something like that. Or, people are like, oh, well, Punk can't lose, da 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 da. It's weird because whoever Rollins screws, that's going to be the feud. So whoever he doesn't screw, what do you do?
Exactly.
Now you could say de facto they're going to fight for the title, but that also seems like, that seems just like a weird jump. Like Priest would probably get his rematch. At least I would assume so.
He should.
So it's just a weird, like, I don't know who he ends up screwing, but it's almost like the odd man out is whoever he doesn't screw.
It's weird. I've been thinking about it all week in terms of, like, is there a fourth person here that could, like, come and, after Seth or somebody, or even that playing field out in terms of once this match is over, we have two obvious feuds that are going to go on their separate ways. But you're 100% right. It's like, no matter who he screws, there's going to be an odd man out. What do we do? Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Yeah. And that's really, I mean, you look at the Raw side of things as a whole, it's almost like, we know Priest is either going to maybe defend his title versus whoever wins this match, or Priest is in Judgment Day stuff. Right. Gunther either wins or he kind of hangs out. I don't really know what Gunther does.
Yeah.
And then you look at the winner of this match. Yeah, they win. But maybe they pivot it and they're like, oh, well, you want to win that match without me? Maybe that's how they do it.
No matter what, it ends up in a triple threat is kind of what I'm thinking.
That's probably...
maybe a triple threat number one contender type of match.
Yeah, and
you put the stakes there.
Yeah, and I think that... I don't know. That's probably the way they do it. And then number one contender goes for the title. Whoever the two are that are left, maybe they feud to Mania or something. Yeah. I don't know. But some way, somehow, to me, Rollins goes off, feuds with McIntyre, some way, somehow that happens. Rollins is going to get the belt to me, and then him and Punk at Mania. But that's so far down the line that, like, I know people want to build for Mania, but that's also 7 months away.
And also, how does John Cena fit into that situation if we're going to do any sort of 17th title run? But that's a whole different story for a whole different day.
Yeah, lots of questions for this SummerSlam, honestly.
Yeah.
At least from the Raw side of things.
Yeah, but there is the obvious big match of the night that's probably going to main event for reasons that we all expect, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask a couple questions here for the Solo Cody main event. One, I'm going to get flat out of the way. What if Solo and the Bloodline do conquer Cody and win the title?
It brings legitimacy to the Bloodline. I mean, it brings legitimacy to Solo.
Yeah.
I mean, he can at least say, hey, I beat Cody Rhodes. Roman, you beat him once, but you lost to him once. Like, he could at least do that. Now, everybody has to acknowledge Solo, not just, the random people here or there. I personally wouldn't like it.
No.
But then Roman comes back and you've got that whole thing. So I think that's kind of a weird situation you put yourself in, because it's like Cody's there, Roman's there, both baby faces, Solo has the title. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
No. If they did this, it would just be for the fact that now Cody has a new story to finish type deal. Mm-hmm. The whole, the big argument in the whole Cody Rhodes title reign era has been, well, he's been a much better chaser, which everybody knows that, or most people know that that's just kind of how wrestling works in general, is that baby faces are much better at chasing than they are, being the dominant champion. So this would just be an easy way for them to let him chase for a month until he gets it back, whenever Roman decides to come back, which has to be shortly, if it's not at SummerSlam. Do I see this happening? Absolutely not. If it did happen, sure, it would give the Bloodline some more legitimacy, sure. But to me, I think it would just be an easy, like, the word that comes to mind is cash grab for Cody's second story finish, but that's not really what I mean. Not cash, but just like it's like a story version of a cheap pop. It's like, okay, so we're gonna get Cody conquering the champion again.
Yeah, I think if anything, maybe let's say Solo does do this. You probably have him hold it until Bad Blood, which is
be
like
quick.
Early October.
He ain't getting a long reign.
Well, yeah. So I'm saying like Bad Blood, you probably have him drop it there. It's early October. Maybe Roman comes back then, and maybe you really just jam pack October to November with the Bloodline stuff for that Bloodline Civil War. So I realistically could see them do that, but at the same time, like Cody is about the only thing on SmackDown right now.
Yeah,
and it just seems like that would be a terrible decision.
Yeah. Speaking of this match, the big question: what if Roman Reigns shows up to SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Pop!
It's going to be, I would say, a top 5 return of all time. I don't think that's, a stretch. I think you have like the Triple H one that he returned at, I believe, the Garden, the jean jacket. I believe it's right up there with something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Taker when he debuted the American Badass gimmick. So, I mean, right up there with that. He goes and costs Solo. You can split that off. It's going to be weird, though, having a babyface Roman, babyface Randy, babyface Cody.
I don't think Roman will be a babyface, though. Like sure, he will not be mean heel, but I don't think he'll ever go back to being a babyface. I think he'll always forever be a tweener. It'll just be a different thing to where, like, when he tells a crowd to acknowledge them, they'll cheer instead of boo.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to be over the top, big dog, suffering succotash guy, but he's going to be a babyface. Like, people are going to cheer for him.
What if he comes out in the vest?
He's going to... Better yet, he comes back out in the dog costume.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong in saying he'll be a tweener, but he'll be a babyface. He'll go against the Bloodline. Paul Heyman will come back. That'll be nice. I guess you could have him slowly start picking off Bloodline members. Like maybe one week he has a match, but then maybe after the match he gets, 3-on-1 assaulted or something like that, and you could slowly trickle in the other returns.
The question is just like, if Roman comes back, like, is he going to be a weekly television guy again, or is he going to just keep doing is he now officially a full-time part-timer? Like, is he going to be the guy that shows up every other SmackDown or one SmackDown between PLEs type deal? Because I think that if he returns and then we have him the next week on SmackDown, obviously, to acknowledge his return, and then we go another 3 weeks without him, it's like, wind out of my sails a little bit. So, I'm just interesting to see how quickly they will do the entire Bloodline, the Civil War, and whether that's going to be as soon as Bad Blood or we just get it to Survivor Series,
Yeah, I assume that's going to be at Survivor Series. It just kind of makes sense, like a War Games
team
Survivor Series. But I guess to answer your question on the weekly character, does he show up? I think it just depends on when you bring him back. Because if you bring him back at SummerSlam to Survivor Series, you got 3 months, 3.5 months, something like that. I don't think he's going to be weekly.
Yeah.
But if you delay it a little bit, and maybe it's, like I said, Bad Blood, and you've got 6 weeks of just action-packed, jam-packed, let's cram this in. But I think it's a pro and a con. I think the Bloodline story deserves to have it seen through and given some time. But that just requires Roman to be there. And that's really kind of all it depends on.
Yeah, at this point, we're just waiting on the Roman return. I think the Bloodline 2.0 has done what they can.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ending every SmackDown with the fingers up with Cody destroyed and whoever else. Like, okay, let's just get there. Next chapter, come on, come on.
And at this point, like, you can just have that, and you can have the blow off be Survivor Series. And I know they're probably gonna drag it until Mania some way somehow
because The Rock.
But yeah, exactly.
Because the next question will be, when does The Rock return?
Exactly. But good God, it's done what it can do, and I'm just ready for it to kind of, like, you could have Roman and them help defeat him, and then just it fizzle out for a little bit.
Yeah. One last question.
Uh-oh.
What if he doesn't return? What if Roman Reigns does not return at SummerSlam?
Yeah.
That's the big one. Because it's like, Cody and Solo are main eventing. It's already confirmed, basically. The entire population of wrestling fans, or I would say 80% of us, are sitting here expecting it. It's like, okay, why would Cody and Solo main event? Well, one big reason, the rumor since since Roman Reigns walked away at WrestleMania was we're not seeing him till SummerSlam. If he doesn't come out though, and Cody just like wins this clean, and that'll be a very sour taste at SummerSlam's end, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think it's about 50-50.
Really?
I think so. There's 100% going to be a return.
You think it'll be The Rock?
No, I think it might be Jimmy.
Ugh.
Which is underwhelming.
Yeah, I like Jimmy. Don't get me wrong.
But I'm just saying, like,
but like a SummerSlam return, big time match, like
right. Because my thought is maybe, and we've gone back and forth, and we've thought maybe all at once, maybe they pepper him in here, maybe Roman to me would have to be the last one. So it's like you have Jimmy go, and then you have
I agree.
Jay, and then you have Sammy, and then Roman.
You could do that on Sunday though, or Saturday. You could do that in one night.
It's
a question of if it's rushed.
And I feel like it would probably be rushed. I mean, if it is anything, it would be like we talked about before, the WrestleMania, like Avengers type ending, which I could see happening. But I just don't know if they do that. I really don't, because I think 100% Jimmy comes back Friday or Saturday, like we talked about.
I think Friday.
But Sammy's dropping the belt, so like there's the chance.
Yeah.
Jay's not on the card. There's the chance. Like the chance is there, but I just don't know if they pull it or not.
God, I hope they do.
I hope they do too. Don't get me wrong. When I say it's a 50-50 chance, like I hope he does.
I totally understand the people who say it'll be rushed, but like just for I'm like, we're millennials. We want that 10 second rush, man. You give me that. Oh, dude, it'll be up there with WrestleMania. It'll be up there with the WrestleMania stuff.
I really do think that whether or not it should be rushed, I guess, is a different discussion. I think it needs to be, because SmackDown needs it. Like SmackDown needs it. They need Roman.
And you could utilize this as a way to kind of maybe kick Sammy and Jay over to SmackDown and give that crowd a little life. Because you would have just handed off one belt to Braun, and then you got a lot of matches upcoming with the Gable Howdy stuff and your tag team championships over there, and Judgment Day is just great at carrying anyways, so they would be just fine for a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got Sheamus, Pete Dunne, Bronson Reed, that whole stuff. Like Raw will be okay.
A lot of women that should get more singles matches and breakoffs there, so they would all be fine. I think it would just be a great way to write them over there. They could carry the show on the weeks if Roman is doing the part-time stuff. You just have Jay and Sammy there, and good stuff. So yeah,
let's just hope.
Let's hope.
Because I know I've seen more people start to say they're all not coming back at SummerSlam, and they might be right, but God, I hope they're not right.
If I keep going back, if I had to bet on it, oof, I don't know.
If I had to bet,
that's roulette, bro. That's black and red.
If I had to bet, they're not all coming back.
But would you bet Roman?
No, I would bet Jimmy.
Ugh.
I bet Jimmy for
if
sure.
it ends up being Jimmy, this is gonna be we're gonna pop or drop this shit. And it's gonna be real bad. I like Jimmy, but he ain't that. All right?
It might just be
Jimmy should be Friday night.
It might just be a Jimmy J Sammy, and then it's like, oh, the Bloodline 2.0.
Jimmy J, Sammy, Randy, Kevin.
No, just like Jimmy, Sammy, Jay. Bloodline 2.0 outnumbers the old Bloodline.
Oh, no. Oh, it'd be awful.
No, it would not be good. Don't get me wrong. I've seen worse, though.
What if SummerSlam sucks? I'm joking.
Golly.
I'm joking.
That's a sour taste in it. I've ever seen one. Because then Cody again is secondary, like, well,
he's secondary no matter what happens. This weekend, Cody's getting the pin, but he ain't posing. You ain't getting your poses, Cody, unless him and Roman woe together. Whoa.
And Heyman.
Yeah, and Heyman. Anyway, those were our SummerSlam what ifs. This show is going to be great. I cannot wait for it. Let us know in the comments what you think about all of our what ifs, and if you have any good what ifs or hot takes about your predictions coming up here at SummerSlam. By the way, we will be live for the first time on YouTube and TikTok. It's going to be an experiment, but we're going to be live, so join us in the watch along for it. It'll be fun. But follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at Spotify, Apple, etc. And share us with whoever you might think would like this type of content. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We'll see you next time.